Welcome back to the channel, everyone. So we lost 1-0 to the Asian All-Stars, and it was a meaningless game, a pointless game. You could see by the way the players applied themselves on the pitch. You can't even say they applied themselves. Some of the senior players just they didn't want to be there. Mentally, they're already on holiday, and you could see that by the lack of intensity, the lack of energy. But it is the young players, that we have to focus on. They are the ones who certainly impressed in the game by how they played, by how they apply themselves, and by their technical ability. You could see that there is potential for development for players to come into the first team and be part of the Manchester United first team. I'm a bit disappointed in the result. I'm sure Amarim is as well, because against a team of players who we are better by quite a few miles in terms of technicality and in terms of being in a certain level of football, we should have done more. We should have scored goals. We should have, at least, other than dominated the game by possession, which was expected, we should have won this game. But it doesn't matter. The game in itself is just a dead rubber game. Postseason to help the club get some money, and that in itself is good, but also bad because imagine we get a few injuries that leave players out. For the start of the preseason for next season, or even the start of next season. But like I said, Ruben Amorim probably wanted the team to do other things, maybe play the ball with a bit more purpose, try and be a bit more risky with our play, especially in the final third. But it looked like another Premier League game with a team sitting back defending in a low block, and we just have no answers. We can't penetrate to try and get through. There's not enough crosses into the box. Forwards are not moving enough. There's no interplay in terms of 1-2s. And yes, here and there we did create chances, but we just don't take those chances, which has been a problem for Manchester United for a while now. We know that. But you could see in the game in itself that there is progress in terms of how Amorim wants Manchester United to play. And that is also evident by how we are deliberately holding onto the ball, deliberately trying to play it from the back, deliberately trying to go from side to side to find that penetrating passes through the lines. And in the first half, Maguire, him for quite a few number of times, was playing passes through the lines. He was breaking the forward midfield line and getting a ball right into the likes of Jack Morehouse, who started in the first half, and Kobe Mainu as well, who played in the first half. There was penetration in terms of breaking the lines, but we just couldn't get to the goalkeeper. We couldn't get to getting our shots off because all of our shots were literally being blocked by these players. The Asian All Stars, I mean, it was a dream game for them to play against Manchester United in their home country. They gave everything, they gave their all, putting their body on the line, making tackles, being aggressive. You would think that there was a trophy at the end of the game. There was, there's prize money, but again, it's not really something that Manchester United is interested in terms of trophies or in terms of prize money. It was the commercial aspect that Manchester United focused on with these two games, with the one being in Malaysia and the next one being in Hong Kong on Friday. So for me, I want to say I don't care about the result, but like I said, I'm disappointed, man. I wanted us to, you know, have a bit of positivity after Amorim gave a very, very good speech at Old Trafford, after the game against Aston Villa. And with him having so many youngsters on this particular postseason tour, you're excited, because you want the team to move forward. You want it to be visible progress in what we are doing. I shouldn't be, putting this much energy into a review of a preseason game that means nothing. But I looked at the way we played. I looked at how certain players performed. Hoyland, my word, even in a game like this, I thought to myself, he'll get a goal. He'll get chances. He'll make chances for himself at least, considering his level in terms of a footballer is much higher than that of a player from the Asian All Stars. But he couldn't even keep them defenders off the ball. He couldn't lay the ball off for his teammates. There wasn't running in behind that was threatening or at least beneficial to the way we wanted to play. Casemiro in the first half kept trying to lob the ball over the top for Delo. Hoyland should be making those runs, but he's not. So again, a disappointing showing by Hoyland, and further condemns him into a point where the club probably want to look to sell him. But these are things that are evident for us to see. I expected Hoyland to perform better, but he looked the same as he did in the Premier League, just as bad, with his touches, the way he loses his duels, why there's a lack of intelligence in movements in the box when we are trying to play the ball in. Like I said, some of our senior players did not want to be there because it's postseason. They've had a very, very disastrous season, that they want to forget, and they kind of want to reset and recharge, spend time with their families, etc. But we also have to be mindful of the fact that we are Manchester United and we must represent the club in a strong manner. The Manchester United fans in Malaysia wanted Manchester United to win. They wanted to see Manchester United score goals. The likes of Bruno, Ahmad, etc. These players, the Malaysian fans, they wanted Manchester United to have a good performance today, but it wasn't to be. It was difficult to watch the game because of how we played with a lack of purpose, a lack of, what's the point of playing hard in this game? What's the point of going to win this game? That's the attitude that you could see from certain players, and it kind of festered in the team, and that's why we didn't manage to penetrate the score, because of our mentality that wasn't right for this particular game. But anyway, we move on to the final game of the season. It's going to be in Hong Kong on Friday. So again, let's see what happens with that in terms of who Amorim plays. But my focus remains the young players, the academy players, how they perform and how they put themselves up to have a position to fight for the new season in pre-season, and of course when the season does start. Subscribe to the channel, drop a like, get involved in the comment section. Let me know what you thought about the game if you watched it, and of course what your take is on certain young players like a Cunha and how they can possibly be put into the first team for next season. Till we see each other again soon, Red Devils. Bye bye. Thanks for watching. If you want more content on Manchester United, like, share and subscribe.